Hello, hello. All right, I'm just going to find this on my cell phone. So if anyone is joining in live, I can see it. All right. Okay. Hello, I'm Stephanie Butler of Stephanie Butler Coach, and I'm excited to be here in Unapologetically Happy Women's Group. I'm going to be talking on self compassion. It's one of my favorite subjects. I'll try to reel myself in because I can go on and on. Um, yeah. So, sorry, it's just telling me that it keeps going low. The frame is low. I'm not sure how to fix this. I'll have to look into it for next lives. Hopefully, I don't freeze or anything like that. So, if you're here live, say hello in the comments. And if you are here on the replay, just put hashtag replay so I know you were here. Yeah, so self compassion. Kristen Neff, she is the guru behind really any of the studies and books and all of the great things that are out there on self compassion. So uh, I've read all her books. I've taken a couple of courses with her, and I just find self compassion to be something that has completely changed my life. It's done a 180 for me, and I can't say enough about it. So today I thought I would just give a brief overview of what self compassion is and then do a little exercise to kind of um, maybe help you to see where we need a little bit more self compassion in our lives than maybe we knew we needed. All right, so self compassion has three components. I'll go through each one. So the first one is self kindness. And it sounds exactly as it sounds, self kindness. Learning to be kind to yourself, not just your dialogue, but how you treat yourself. So, how you show up for you, the things that you choose to do in your day to day life, and just being kind. It's easy to be nice, but it's a little harder, more detailed and intentional to be kind. So I would love to remind folks to show up a little bit more intentionally for themselves with kindness and love, kind of like how you would for good friends and family and neighbors. Do a little bit more of that for you. And then the second component is common humanity. So this is about having an interconnectedness with all humans here. There's many of us on the planet, but having that interconnectedness, knowing that I'm not separate, that I'm not alone in this, that I'm not the only one. And what this can do is help us to remember that I'm just a human being here having a spiritual experience, but also I'm human. I'm not going to be perfect at everything. I'm not going to be able to do everything that I want to do at the level that I would like to do it at, and that I'm going to make mistakes, and that humans, that's the way that we learn and grow is through making mistakes and then looking back at it and seeing what can I learn from this? What will I do differently next time? Um, yeah. So that's common humanity in a nutshell. I'm really Cole's noting it for you. And then the next is mindfulness. So we want to be in the moment. We want to be aware of what's happening, like realistically what's happening moment to moment. And so mindfulness gives us that. And with mindfulness, we can tap into our senses to know what we're experiencing and what's happening. So, what we want to look for is suffering, is looking for the not so great times so that we know we need to soothe ourselves, we need to show up for ourselves. And it might be a gentle touch, like, you're okay, you're doing the best that you can, Stephanie. You're going to get through this. You know, do I need to ask for help? Do I need to ask for support? Or do I just sit with the struggles, with the feelings for a bit and just honor them? So that is being mindful. So the three of them together create this self-compassion framework. And with self-compassion, it's again exactly what it sounds like, having compassion for yourself. I think we're really good at having compassion for others, or maybe that's even tough for some folks to have. Sometimes we have really high expectations or standards, and that's a whole other lesson for another day. But I've been taught if I have really big expectations, I'm just setting myself up to be angry and resentful. So, well, I'll definitely do that another day, a topic of conversation. So I want to do one of the most, um, what I found effective exercises that I had done when I was learning about self compassion. And so what I want you to do, if you're somewhere, if you're not driving, if you're somewhere safe, I just want you to get comfortable, close your eyes, and I want you to just picture maybe over the last little while someone, a good friend of yours that might have, had a difficult time. And let's just say they made a mistake at, say, work or in the household, and they're really beating themselves up about it and they just feel horrible. I want you to picture how you show up for your close friend, your good friend. You know, maybe take note of your body language. Maybe you would touch her on the shoulder or the arm, give her a hug. What's the tone of voice that you show up with? What might you say to her in that moment? And what are your feelings towards her as you're talking to her through this difficult time? Okay, so just kind of feel those feelings and just have a little bit of an idea of how you show up for your good friends when they're going through a tough time. So now what I would love for you to do is, keeping your eyes closed if it's safe to do so, I want you to picture that you are having a tough time. Maybe you made a mistake at work or at home. And I want you to then see, what is your inner dialogue like? How do you show up for you? What's your tone of voice? How do you comfort yourself? Do you rub your arm? Are you gentle with your words? Or are you harsh? And is your tone maybe a little gruff? How do you feel about yourself in this situation and how you're showing up? How do you feel towards yourself and your situation that you're finding yourself in? So I want you to just sit with that for a little bit. So, how were those two situations different? For me, I know when I did this exercise for the first time, I realized just how mean and how hurtful and harsh I was to myself. I didn't consider myself at all. I was just mean, and I said things like, "Just suck it up. You're pathetic. You're always making mistakes." This was the tone, and this is how I talk to myself. And it kind of threw me for a loop. I was a bit disturbed by it all, and I just didn't realize how harsh my internal dialogue towards myself was. And so this particular exercise made me aware of something that I had not been aware of before. I was aware of my voice, but I thought there was nothing wrong with it. That, I believed that I needed to be tough on myself in order to not be lazy or procrastinate. I needed to show up. I needed to be tough. If I wasn't tough on myself, then who would be? You know, I need to have that motivation. I need to get things done, right? I don't know if any of this is sounding familiar to any of you. If it is, put it in the comments. Um, But what is amazing is what we become aware of and what we acknowledge, we can change. And so, what I realized is when I was talking, like, realizing how I show up for my good friends, of just how loving, compassionate, kind, patient, I was just, my voice was calm. I, touched them on the shoulder, like gave them a hug, all these wonderful things because I completely saw them different than myself if I were in the exact same situation. And so this brought light to having different rules for myself, different expectations, different standards from any other human being on this planet. And so my common humanity was way off skew for myself when we look at self compassion. I somehow believed that I needed to do more, work harder, and that I didn't deserve loving compassion or any self kindness at all. Because, if I let myself off the hook, who knows? I'm just going to run wild and not do the things I'm meant to do, right? All these crazy notions. And I don't have the stats right in front of me, but it's been proven by several groups that self compassion actually brings in more motivation, more confidence, and more inspiration and creativity within your world because you're not being pushed down by this negative inner dialogue anymore. That's actually doing the complete opposite of what I thought it was doing for myself. So, if you had a similar experience to me, the good news is now you're aware of it and now you can make changes. And how we can make changes is ask yourself, what would I say to my good friend if they were in this situation? And then talk to yourself that way. It takes some practice, absolutely. It's not easy, but try it out, you know? If you're finding that that harsh dialogue is showing up, ask yourself, would I be saying this to a good friend ever? No. Would I even think this way of a good friend in a similar situation? No. So why am I different? I'm not. I'm just a human being showing up, doing the best that I can today. That's all any of us try to do every day. So I really encourage you to rethink how you're talking to yourself in difficult situations and use the self kindness, right? Use the mindfulness. If you're experiencing some shame or embarrassment or regret, that's part of humanity. That's part of being a human. but being present in that in those feelings and saying it's okay, and self-soothing, letting yourself know it's going to be okay, and what can I learn from this situation, right? And we move forward. We all make mistakes. We all suffer in this lifetime, but we can handle it a little bit differently, a little kinder, a little bit more loving when it's ourselves. So I'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway was from today. If you could put that in the comments, that would be amazing. Um, and yeah, I feel pretty good. I've reeled myself in. I'm about to go on another tangent on self compassion, but I'm not going to. I'll save it for another day. Um, so yeah, I'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway was, and if you related to what I went through when I first did this exercise. All right, you take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye.